What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler of a video, a true banger, if you will, talking about taking Molly at work. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I really appreciate all the recent subscribers and support. Thank you all in advance. Without further ado, fuck all the intro, hoopla bullshit. Who cares? Let's dive right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this happened back in 2017, and this was right towards the very end of when I was on probation, right? And towards the last month or two of my probation, I was not getting drug tested. So I was kind of dabbling in doing drugs that I knew I could get out of my system within 5 days or less. Not for example, the only two I even did were I popped a couple Xans and I did some Molly, including this instance, right? I was not willing to smoke weed even though I wasn't getting drug tested because I hadn't formally gone to court and been taken off probation, right? The reason I'm saying this is because it's kind of important context for the rest of this story, and it just ties in, right? So to explain kind of the timeline of this, I had no Molly tolerance at this point. I hadn't rolled in a long time. I hadn't even smoked pot in God knows how long. But I had already taken a couple bars while I was on probation, so I hadn't gone completely dry on everything, right? Just to take the edge off, right? I was dabbling in some stuff here and there. But when this point rolled around, I had a coworker who had some Molly. And for those of you guys who were tuned into my fairly recent video talking about this triangle Xanax I took, the strongest Xanax ever video, I mentioned a coworker named Trevor in that, and you guys seemed really, really interested in him. I got tons of comments saying, dude, you got to talk about this guy some more. And this is one of those videos, one of the few where I'll be talking about him, because our friendship is very short and sweet, right? I was only tight with this dude for maybe 2 months at most, 2.5 months tops. And it never really was an outside of work kind of thing. Look, it was, but we were only friends because we were coworkers, if that makes sense. Once I stopped working there, we just kind of stopped hanging out immediately, right? But when I worked there, we were homies, and we did even go out to eat together once, right? But either way, I just kind of want to preface that and let you guys know that this is going to be a rare Trevor story, if you will. So let's dive right into it. So a few years ago, back in 2017, I worked at a bathtub remodeling company, or a bathroom remodeling company that also sold bathtubs and other bathroom appliances and stuff. I'm not going to go too much into detail about that, but basically I would get sent as a sales rep to our displays in shitty home shows and malls and shit, right? And on this particular day, it's a Saturday, and I get sent to a mall that is known to be very, very busy. A mall that I've touched on in a few of my previous videos talking about working at this place. A mall where there's a movie theater inside, and it was just, it was my favorite mall to work at, right? Because you could do whatever the fuck you wanted. And another thing that was very important about this job to mention is that this job was unsupervised, right? There was no manager watching me. I would go show up at the display, and I would typically be either the only guy there or I would have one partner with me. And on this particular day, I had one partner, and it was Trevor. And they don't tell you who your partners are before your shift. So, I'm just driving over to work, right? I'm driving to this mall. I go over, and I'm the first one at the display, right? So I'm unpacking my bag, not knowing if I'm going to be working with anyone, but figuring I probably am because it's a busy Saturday, right? We gotta make some sales, right? And I'm chilling at the display, sipping my Gatorade, and I see Trevor pop out of the store adjacent to us and walk over, and I'm like, hey, my dude, I tap him up, I shake up, I know it's about to be a fire shift as soon as my fellow crackhead coworker approaches me, right? So I tap him up, he's like, hey, how you been, man? We chat, we catch up a little bit, and pretty much immediately off the bat, we just are not on task or working whatsoever, and we're just immediately fucking around discussing drugs, and we even get up and just take a little stroll around the mall, right? We're talking a little bit, just doing some chit-chat, banter, homie talk, and we get to the point where we're talking about drugs, and I'm like, oh yeah, my probation's coming to an end soon. I kind of mentioned the things I mentioned to you guys earlier, where I'm like, yeah, I've been popping a couple bars before some of these shifts recently to make them go by faster, but not enough to get barred out, just half a fucking bus or something, or half a ladder, nothing crazy, just enough to make the shift a little easier. And we're chatting a little bit, and he's like, oh, dude, I've been actually rolling and doing a lot of kind of harder shit lately, just known as crackhead shit, right? And I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice, right? And I'm telling him some of the stories about some of the Molly that I used to do, right? And he's like, oh, dude, I got some fucking flats right now, dude, right? And I just thought he meant, like, at his house. I'm like, oh, dude, nice. Like, what are they? Are they Teslas? Are they Louis V's? What are they, right? For those guys who don't know the terminology, a flat is an ecstasy pill, right? Roll, whatever you guys want to call it, right? Those of you guys in the UK, I don't think you call it a flat. But here, we call them flats. But either way. So, he says that he's got some flats in the car. And I'm like, oh, shit. All right, bet. That sounds pretty good, right? Or he doesn't say he's got them in the car. He says he's got them, like, just in general, right? And I'm like, oh, bet. That sounds pretty good. Like, what are they, right? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Like, do you want to, like, see them, right? I'm still not catching on that he has them with him, right? Like, I'm just assuming he's going to, like, pull out a picture. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see him, right? So he's like, all right, hold on. So he leaves. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, where's he going? And he comes back, like, 2 minutes later. And he's like, oh, like, I went and grabbed them, dude. He's like, look at these, bro. Come with me. There's a bathroom right next to our stand, right? So we go into the bathroom. It's like literally, it's right fucking next to our display. Perfect location to just go slide in there and like go hit your Juul or whatever real quick without having to take a break or anything, right? So we go in there, and there's nobody ever in this fucking bathroom ever, dude. It's never used. Like, we weren't even in a good spot in the mall, dude. There was never any foot traffic really by us. And he pulls out this baggie. And he's got these little pink fuckers, dude. And I've never seen rolls like this in my life. I've never seen a flat like this. It was like a clam shell almost, like a oyster shell, oyster clam. I don't know which one. And it was pink. And it was the weirdest thing ever. Like, I don't know. Typically you see flats and they're just like some really bullshit like pattern, right? Like they're either like some Louis V logo or like the Gucci logo or like Superman or so, like a Batman symbol or some dumb shit, right? And typically they're very inconsistent in color unless you have some really good ones. But Trevor always had some really fire drugs, and this shit was no exception. These flats looked exceptional. They were so consistent in color. You can look at these kind of pills and just tell when they're right, and these looked right to me. I could tell that at the bare minimum, whoever pressed them knew what they were doing, which led me to believe that they were a little more trustworthy, right? So I was like, oh, damn, bro, those look really fire. And he's like, hell yeah, dude, you want one? And I'm like, what's the dosage on them? He's like, I don't know, dude, these fuckers are strong. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, I'll take half. I'll take half of one of them shits, right? And the weird thing with these is like they didn't look like they were like meant to be broken in half. I've seen a lot of flats where like some of the like pill pressers are getting high tech nowadays and leaving in like little indents to fucking break them. This was some old school flat. It was just some bullshit. They didn't have that, right? So either way, I'm looking at this thing and I'm just like, damn, this looks sick, right? And it's genuinely one of the nicest ecstasy pills I've ever held in my fucking life, guys. Like, I cannot stress enough. It is one of the nicest X pills I've ever held in my fucking life. So either way, I'm like, damn, this is nice. And I end up breaking it in half, right? And I'm like, yo, dude, just take the other half. Honestly, I don't really want to pocket it. I haven't rolled in a long time. I'll just keep this half. And he's like, oh, bet. So I hand him back the half, and he just takes it. Like, he just straight takes it, right? Like, instead of putting it back in the bag. And I look at him, and I'm like, damn, like, you're going to do that right now? And he's like, well, like, what am I going to do with, like, a half, And I'm like, damn, this guy's really just a fucking crackhead. Like, listen, this was by far my favorite coworker. This guy reminded me a lot of myself. Trevor, if you're out there, hit me up, dog. I don't know if I have you on Snapchat. Dude, hit my fucking line. I don't think he ever knew about my channel. But I miss that kid, dude. I miss this fucking kid. But either way, he just slaps that shit down the hatch with no water. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, this guy's an animal. But at the same time, I also remember, like, okay, he said he's been rolling a lot lately. He's probably still going to be just big chilling, which for the most part he was. But then he did that, and I'm like, well, I can't have Trevor one-up me. So I decided to take mine too, but the problem is I can't take my pill. Y'all can be like, Goblin, you a bitch. Well, unless it's like a capsule, like if it's like one of those kind of like an X pill or like one of those kind of texture pills, you know what I'm saying, where it's not like a smooth capsule. I need liquid to down. I need liquid no matter what to down that shit, or else I will start choking. I just can't do it. So I go hit the vending machine. I grab myself a nice little Sprite, and I figure, hey, that's gonna hit great. And I grab my Sprite, right? It's ice fucking cold. We go back to our station. And I'm just kind of sitting there. And I've got my hand in my pocket, right? And I've got my hand in my pocket. And I've got this roll in my hand. I'm just thinking like, do I want to take this now? Do I want to take this now? And like, I already bought the Sprite. It's already in my bare hand. I didn't have a bag to put it in. So I'm like, damn. Like, this is really, like, I think I just have to take this now, right? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I'm only an hour, hour and a half into the shift. We have literally like 7 hours left. So like by the time we're done, I'll probably just be chilling. And on top of that, I figured if this guy's going to be rolling fucking balls next to me, and I've never had the chance to roll with this guy before, it's a better time than ever to just go for it. So I kind of look around and make sure the coast is clear. I figure I don't really have to go to the bathroom for this because that would just be more suspicious. So I just smack that shit down the hatch. I just pull my hand out of my pocket, pop that shit like I was just taking a little ibuprofen or something, and take a swig of my Sprite. And Trevor looks over at me, and he just kind of geeks a little bit. He's just got this kind of attaboy fucking look on his face. Just this like, all right, let's get it kind of look, And I'm like, all right, let's see where things go from here. So we've both got our rolls popped, and we're kind of chilling. We're just going back and forth, and maybe like another 45 minutes goes by. And by the time that 45 had gone by, I was feeling different. I was feeling tingly. I was feeling very loose. I was feeling almost like a inflatable tube arm guy, dude. I was just feeling loose, bro. And I was getting up, and I swear to God, I was pitching the absolute fuck out of these bathtubs. Lads, normally, I was not that enthusiastic about it unless I really wanted to make money. But this was one of my top-selling days ever. I was approaching everybody with no fear. And I was just the kindest man ever. I was like, how are you doing? Come take a look at this. And I had no fear. My nuts were titanium this day. As soon as I started coming up, I was pitching the shit. And I knew we had a long way to go. And that come-up phase of me really wanting to pitch shit and do that only lasted maybe like 30 to 45 minutes. And very quickly, I realized that I was nowhere near my peak, right? I realized, like, I'm already rolling this hard and whiling this hard to the point where, like, other people in the mall are, like, turning their head to watch me pitch this bathtub to this, like, middle-aged father that, like, this can go nowhere but down, really, right? Like, my high can go up, but listen, the real outcome of this is going nowhere but down, right? So I make an executive decision about 30 to 45 minutes into my sweaty, fucking feverish sales pitching off the Molly, as I'm starting to really come up and, like, barely able to talk anymore. I make the decision to go over to the vending machine, grab 2 bottles of water, and go sit in the bathroom and hold both of them to the sides of my head because I was sweating hard as fuck. But the problem was it was hard out. It was hot outside too. I don't know why I said hard. It was hot outside too, right? So like going outside and getting fresh air, like that wouldn't have done anything. So I just hit the vending machine, which is conveniently once again right next to us. Grab my 2 bottles of water, go sit in the bathroom, and I was in there for what felt like the entire fucking shift. It was realistically probably maybe 30 minutes. Trevor, I never really paid attention at first to him. I never paid attention if he was rolling or not. He didn't seem very different. But me, once I went into this bathroom, it was a completely different environment. My teeth are chattering in this bitch. The side of my face is cold, but the rest of my body is sweating. It feels like when my cheeks were sweating and then I put the cold bottles of water up against them, the sweat just transferred to my arms and just continued pouring out of there instead, right? Like, it's just, man, listen. Oh, I had to take a swig of water. Hey, a man is dehydrated. Hey, everyone get hydrated right now. Hold on. I just annihilated, absolutely dogged that fucking water bottle. Absolutely dogged it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all hydrated. Let's get back into it. So, either way, I'm sitting in this bathroom, and I'm tweaking out, right? I'm like not tweaking out in a bad way. I'm having a good time, but like if someone swung my stall door open and looked at me, they probably would have had a seizure. Like they like it would have been a jump scare. Like I must have looked like the biggest crackhead on earth, just dripping sweat. And the worst part is that our work shirts were like a light green, right? On this particular day, I decided to wear one. And sweating balls in like a nice fancy cotton light green is not good because it's very unflattering and that's not good for sales. Nobody wants to get sold a bathroom remodel by a dirty, stinky, sweaty salesman whose previously light, very light lime green shirt is now more like a swamp green in certain parts around the neck, armpits, and stomach, right? And his teeth are clenched and his eyes are wide, right? Just picture that guy selling your mother or father a bathroom, and very quickly you could understand why this was not going well. So I finally come out of the bathroom because I just realized, like, hey, I've been in here for too long, and no matter how fucked up I look, I can't do this shit. So I come out, and Trevor's just literally chilling on his phone. He's like, damn, bro. He's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I just couldn't really pitch to anyone like that. I'm rolling balls. And he's like, damn, dude. It is only comment is, well, hey, glad you didn't take the whole thing. Am I right? And I'm like, yeah, bro, for sure. Holy fucking shit, right? So I'm kind of like tweaking out here, and there's nothing for me to really go do. Like, I can't smoke, right? I'm on probation, so smoking is not an option. My only real options were just kind of to ride out this role and try to enjoy my time. But I came to realize very quickly that as much fun as it felt like I was having, like I had this constant feeling of wanting to do more. Like I wanted to go see a movie. I wanted to go outside. But at the same time, I knew that Trevor was not the kind of guy who would actually just full up say fuck it and get up. He cared about the job. Like, don't get me wrong, this guy was a crackhead, but he would not abandon his post. Me, on the other hand, I had multiple occasions of getting up and just going to watch like a 2.5-hour movie in the middle of my shift and just leaving it unattended, right? But he would not do that. So I'm kind of like just strolling around the mall after a while, right? Like rolling balls. And I think this is probably one of the beginnings of my downfall. Or no, definitely not the beginning. No, it started way earlier than this. Because I only worked here for like 2 more weeks, like a week or two after this, actually. So this was not the beginning. But this is probably one of the like biggest red flags. Because I was walking around the mall, right? And like all of the mall employees are kind of friends. If anyone watching this video has ever worked at a mall, you know, like even if you don't work at the same store, like mall employees are just like they just kind of get along. Like you just talk to each other. That's just how it goes, right? So I'm kind of strolling around the mall, and I'm talking to all these like other people who talk to my other coworkers, right? Because like our company, like we go to all the malls, right? So like all these other like people in the mall, like they know like, oh, like the bathroom company guys, there they are, right? So they're talking to me. And just so coincidentally, after I do my loops around like one of our biggest malls, rolling balls, dripping sweat, looking like a complete idiot fiend, of course, coincidentally, the following week, I only got like 12 hours scheduled when I averaged like 30, right? So obviously something was amiss. But nevertheless, after doing my loop around the mall, I got back and we still had like quite a bit of time left in this shift. And I kind of passed my peak. I think the peak really happened when I was sitting in the bathroom and then walking around the mall, more so in the bathroom. But I finally kind of got back, right? And I really got into my groove with pitching once I came down from the peak, right? I just start, Jesus, pardon me, COVID hitting different. Fuck. So I kind of get into my groove, and I'm just pitching to everybody, dude. I'm going up to everybody. Hey, how are you? And I kind of like, I smoothed out a lot more from the beginning of the role, so I was really actually pitching and like getting sales. So this was, I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, but if I didn't, this was actually one of my best sales days. But like every other aspect of this day was horrible. But sales-wise, I got a lot of leads on this day. Like I got a lot of people's information down on this day, which was good, right? So once I get into my groove, me and Trevor are just kind of switching off people. Like we'd like trade off. Like when we saw like someone who looked like a potential client walk up, we'd like kind of give each other the look, like you go for it, you get the next one, yada yada, right? And we're trading off, and we're in our groove, dude. The vibes are on, and we're just kind of chilling out. And about halfway through the shift, or not halfway through, like I'd say a little over halfway through, like maybe 5 hours into the shift, Trevor goes for a smoke break, and he's like, "You want to come with?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, right?" And Trevor goes to smoke a little bit of bud, right? He was a big joint kind of guy. So we go sit by his car, and I of course, can't sit in his car. So he's sitting in his car smoking a joint, and I stand outside of it, and I bum a cigarette off him, right? Because I'm still rolling hard. And that cigarette literally rejuvenated me. Also, I don't know if anyone heard that pop sound. I, like, popped open a container that had a joint in it, and coincidentally, while I'm talking about a joint, actually. What perfect fucking timing. But okay. Back on top. Either way. So, I'm smoking the cigarette. Trevor's smoking his joint. He blazes up. I smoke up. We go back inside the mall. We got maybe 3.5 more hours left of the shift, right? And we're kind of chilling out. I'm coming down at this point. And after the cigarette kind of lifted me up, I'm just sales aficionado. Is that the word? Aficionado? I don't know. That sounds about right. I'm just nailing them left and right. Like, I'd say post-cigarette break off the Molly, I had probably like a 65% success rate with getting people to give me their information. And I made probably like $70 in like commission money that day, which is pretty fucking good, dude. That's pretty damn good money if you ask me, right? So me and Trevor just kind of switching off. We kind of get on our grind, towards the, because like I said earlier, it's still a weekend. So like towards the end of the shift, we really got back on our grind as we came down and kind of closed things out, because they kept a very close eye on the amount of leads that each like team or individual was putting out at locations. And like we would get, that would be one of the contributing factors to getting hours cut. Not all, but one of them. I think another contributing factor was they probably had a secret shopper on this day because it was like a Saturday. And that secret shopper probably saw me dripping sweat, clenching my teeth around the mall, which is probably why I coincidentally got my hours cut and then quit. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Peace. Hey, don't forget to turn on post notifications and subscribe, baby. I'll see you guys in tonight's stream. Peace out, gamers.